All right. Today we're going to take notes on adding and subtracting fractions. In the I can statement, I put a lot of detail. You're going to have to pause this and you're going to have to write it all down. It has all the steps of being able to solve adding and subtracting problems that have fractions. So, I can statement says I can look at 2 or 3 fractions, check the denominator, get the denominator the same with the help of a LCM or least common multiple, and add or subtract the numerator. Go ahead and pause, get that all written down, and then we'll go into our first problem. So our first problem here is about cereal. How many times have you gone to eat cereal, but your brother or sister have already eaten so much of the cereal, and it's frustrating. I had 3 brothers, I know. All right, so Ellen, she started out strong here, and she ate 1/4 of a box of cereal. Well, then her brother Freddie came in, and he ate 3/8 of a box of cereal. So we're going to answer the question of how much did they eat all together. When I see all together, of course, I'm going to be adding when I'm trying to put the 2 fractions together. Okay, so I went ahead and took both of the fractions and I put them on top of each other. The reason I do that is it makes it easier for us to work with the numbers when we have to change the denominators. When we write them out like this, and then we have to go and change a denominator, it gets all messy, and so I just chose to write them on top of each other. If you are struggling to see it written up and down, after we get after we get our LCM and our new denominator, then you can write it out long ways if you'd like. That's totes up to you. But the very first step here is we're going to check this denominator. We see 4 and 8, and they are not the same. They are not cut into the same amount of pieces. So we're going to make an LCM chart. Luckily enough, I have come over here and I have already made an LCM chart. The 2 numbers we're going to use for our LCM chart, we're going to use a 4 and an 8 because those are our denominators. 4, 8. We're going to use those 2 numbers. We're not going to use any other numbers. We're not going to compare 3 and 8. We don't care about that right now. We're going to use 8 and 4, the 2 denominators. So times 1, times 2, times 3. Some of you can do this in your head, and I'm okay with that. Something like this. I'm okay with that, saying, oh yeah, well, it's going to be 8. The smallest LCM you can have is whatever the biggest number is. So the smallest we could have had was 8. It came up that 4 times 2 is 8, so we're good to go there. So the next thing that we're going to do, we noticed that 8 was our LCM. We're going to try to get this 4 to 8. We're going to multiply it by 2. What I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So I'm going to do the same thing up top, times it by 2. And now 1/4 becomes 2/8. Like I said, if you would like to write this out long ways and solve it, that is okay with me. But for now, I have it stacked, and I'm just going to bring the 8 down below. Then I'm going to think, okay, 2 up top, 3 up top, 2 plus 3 is 5, and then I'm all done. Sometimes you're going to get a bigger number on top than you do on bottom. You should always try to simplify. We've been working a lot with mixed numbers to improper fractions and improper fractions to mixed numbers. You should be able to handle that. So the process is going to be the same if we're going to do subtraction. So we're in this problem, Rose bought 4/6 of a yard of pipe. She used half of it in a project she was making. So we start with 4/6. We take away 1/2, and I stacked it up on top of each other again. My first thing is to check the denominator. 6 and a 2. Oh, I gotta make a chart. When I make my LCM chart, I see that 6 times 3, no, sorry, 2 times 3 is 6, so I'm gonna use 6 as my denominator. Here, I circle my 6. I know that I have to times by 3 here, and I have to times by 3 here. So I get 3 6, and then I bring my 6 all the way down, and I subtract 4, take away 1 equals, no, come on, Leesenby. 4 take away 3 is 1. So on this page, I showed you all 3 of the problems that we're going to work on here. Go ahead and write them like this, or you can wait until we get to those problems. So the first problem we're going to do together is 6/7 take away, oh, I checked my sign there, it's take away 1/2. So I'm going to start with an LCM chart. Over here, I'm going to use the 7 and the 2 because those are my denominators. 7, 2. 2 times 2. Oh, my stylus doesn't want to work. 2 times 3. Times 4. Times 5. Times 6. Times 7. There we go. Okay. So 2 times 2, 4. 2 times 3, 6. 2 times 4, 8. 2 times 5, 10. Why am I focusing on the 2? Because it's smaller than the 7. And I'm probably going to have to go further out with the 2 than the 7. So I'm going to start there. 2 times 6, 2 times 7. All right. So now I'm going to go up top. 2 times 2. Oh, look at there. Look there. I have 14. So my bottom number needs to become 14. Well, the 7 is definitely not 14. I need to multiply that by 2. Multiply the 6 by 2. Now I have 12 on top and 14 on bottom. Oh, 1/2 does not have 14 on the bottom, so I'm going to multiply by 2. Oh, not 2. I'm going to multiply by 7. This one's a different one than the first one. Multiply by 7. I get 7/14. And now I'm going to subtract, bring my 14 down, and 12 take away 7 is going to be 5. Simplify if I can. If not, cool, move on. All right, here I have 3/4, take away 2/5. I'm going to focus on my denominator here. They are not the same, so I'm going to create an LCM chart with 4 and 5. Yes, what I'm writing here, you should be writing as well. You're creating your own LCM chart. Times 2, times 3, times 4. Notice neither one, like these are real close together. So I'm going to want to take the chart out at the same time with both. So I'm going to start with 4 here. 4 times 2, 5 times 2. Nothing yet. 4 times 3, 5 times 3. Still not there. 4 times 4. There's the bell. 5 times 4. Okay, we don't have anything yet. 4 times 5. Oh, and there it is. So I'm going to get my denominators to 20. I'll be back with you in just a minute. Okay, so I kind of fast forwarded here and I multiplied 4 times 5 because up here we saw that 4 times 5 equals 20. So I did 4 times 5. Look at that. I made a mistake. I did 3 times 4 when I needed to do that times 5. Because what you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. Then I have to erase this. Oh, I've made this worse than it was. There we go. All right. So now I have 3 times 5, 4 times 5, so that I have 20. Here I chose to multiply by 4 so that I have 20. 2 times 4 is 8. and I brought the 20 down below. Now I have 15 plus 8, and I get a total of 23. And I notice that my top number is bigger than my bottom number. So I see how many sets of 20 are in 23. There's one full set. I could take it into division into the house and divide by 20. That would give me one full set. I would have 3 left over out of 20. So our final problem we're going to do today, we have 3 fractions that we're going to need to find a common multiple between 2, 4, and 5. So we just did 4 and 5. We know that 4 and 5 have 20 in common. Then we check and see, can I times 2 by something to get 20? And the answer is yes. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to times 2 times 10 and get 20, and I'm going to times the top by 10 and get 20. So this fraction becomes 10 over 20. And for this one, I'm going to write it out long ways so that we can see it, because there's 3 fractions involved. All right, 4, I have to multiply times 5 to get 20, and I multiply the top, and I get a new fraction of 15 over 20. And then down here, this 5, I have to multiply it by 4 to get 20, so I multiply the top as well. I have 20 on the bottom and 12 on the top. Ooh, got all smushed. So then I'm going to keep the bottom number the same. It doesn't change how many pieces they're cut into. I have 10 plus 15 plus 12. Well, 10 plus 15, I now have 25. So I'm going to take 25 plus 12. Well, 12 can be broken into 10 and 2. So I like to work with 10s. They just make really good sense to me. 25 plus 10 is 35, and 35 plus 2 is 37. And in this situation, our top number is bigger than our bottom number, so we have an improper fraction. We're going to need to make that a mixed number. So 37 goes into the house, 20 goes on the outside, and we say, oh, I have one set of 20. When I subtract, I have 17 left over. That's a lot. So my mixed number would be 1 and 17/20. And then I'm all done. All right, make sure you get all of these notes. The next screen is going to be your secret word. Go ahead and write it in your notebook. Your notebook is going to need to be turned in at the end of our week. As always, happy mathing.